Hello and welcome to this video that's all about gratitude as a path to closeness. And honestly, this is the shift that softened my marriage and helped me to feel loved again. So it's a really, really powerful one. And of course, this is week 5 of the softening series, 10 weeks of softening my marriage and deepening my marriage, excuse me. So I wanted to start by rewinding a little bit. Actually, a lot, kind of. Several years. So there was a long stretch of my marriage where honestly I could not see any of the goodness that was there. And in retrospect, it's not because it wasn't happening, but because I was too braced at the time to receive it. I didn't know it then, but I was always scanning for proof that I was unloved. It was like this subtle, invisible, but constant low hum of hypervigilance that lived underneath everything. And so the compliments that my husband didn't say, right? A dish that wasn't washed, the moments he didn't read my mind, the connection that I had to ask for instead of him magically offering, right? Each of these tiny, ordinary moments became for me painful evidence that I wasn't cherished. It was like my mind was always scanning for that. And then I'd say to myself, see, I'm not enough. See, he doesn't care. See, I'm alone in this. And I wasn't actually seeing him clearly at all. What I was seeing was my fear reflected back at me. And underneath that frustration and the resentment and the perfectionism, there was something that I couldn't have admitted to myself at the time. And it took me a long time to be able to admit to myself. But it was that I honestly didn't believe that I was worthy of being loved, which is why I was always hyper vigilant looking for that specific evidence that I wasn't loved. And so even when he did try, I couldn't feel it. Even when he was showing up for me, I couldn't receive it. And even when love was right there in front of me, I filtered it through a lens of lack. And gratitude can't grow in the soil of fear, and neither can intimacy. And so, somewhere along the line, through the intentional choice to broaden my focus and my perspective and receive, that belief began to shift and to soften. So I started experimenting with not assuming the worst all the time. I started practicing seeing what actually was there instead of hunting for what wasn't. I started letting myself consider the possibility that I was loved, even when my old fear wanted to disagree. And of course, this did not happen overnight. It happened in thousands of tiny moments where I chose curiosity instead of certainty, and openness instead of bracing, and softening instead of constant scanning. And so, gradually and quietly, something within me and then within my marriage healed. And so this week, or honestly, the last few weeks, I have been tired. It's just, the last couple weeks of pregnancy, there's just very busy with my older kids' school activities and, you know, dinners and just everything, just lifing. It's all the good stuff, but it's life. I can barely keep my eyes open by like 6 o'clock. So I've been tired, but through all of that tiredness, my husband has been showing up for me with so much devotion and making me feel so cherished. And it's like at this point, I have been voicing my desires and vulnerably sharing and opening up to him for so long at this point that he knows me so well that it's like he can read my desires before I even know that I want them or before I've even realized that I want to voice them. And so, in the mornings when I get out of my shower, my breakfast quesadilla and my hot cocoa is already waiting at the table for me. And he's just been working so hard to help me get the house in tip-top shape before baby and cleaning up the back. The backyard looks immaculate, just because he knows it makes me happy when it's like that. My car got a deep cleaning. I mean, this man has just been on it. Everything that I could have wanted, he's like, boop, he's got it before I can even say desire about it. And so watching my husband as I've been kind of in a vulnerable position and unable to step up myself in terms of like the load I'm carrying right now is minimal when it comes to the house. And so as I've watched my husband love me with such devotion and allowed myself to feel fully cherished, I've just been in touch with something that settled in me even more deeply than before. And that's this realization that, yes, I am worthy of this. I am loved. And it feels really, really good to land on that truth and to finally see and feel how loved I truly am in my marriage, because that was something that I was unable to see and unable to feel for so long. And so I finally stopped blocking the love that was there all along. And so I have a couple questions that I'd love to leave you with or invite you to explore for yourself. The first is, where have you been scanning for evidence that you are unloved? And what might you see differently if you softened your gaze even just a little bit? So if you are doing this softening experiment with me, the 10 weeks of softening your marriage, if you feel stirred by any of today's, if any of what you said, if something made you be like, yeah, that's me, I can relate. I want to leave you with this invitation to choose just one ordinary moment each day and to allow yourself to interpret it 10% more generously than you normally would. And I say 10%. I mean, it can be, of course, more if you want. Go for gold. Go for 100 if you can, right? But I want to invite you to start gently, because when I know for me, when my heart was braced for disappointment for so long, that softness had to come in small, safe sips, and that was okay. So this isn't about manufacturing fake gratitude that you don't actually feel. This is about giving your nervous system a chance to see what it can receive, even if your marriage feels hard right now. So maybe he texted you back. Maybe he put the kids to bed and you had a little extra time to relax and catch your breath, right? Maybe he showed up tired, but still tried in his own way to be supportive of you. Maybe he took care of a bill or locked the door at night or brought in groceries or handled a task that you've stopped noticing because it's always been his way and it became part of the status quo, the expectation, right? Tiny is enough. Ordinary counts. The point isn't the size of the moment, it's the softening inside of you. And so each day, I invite you to ask yourself, if I assume love instead of lack by just 10%, what might this moment be offering me? Let curiosity, not pressure, guide you in this. Let the smallest signals of steadiness and care be allowed to register in your mind. And let your heart experiment with the possibility that not every imperfect moment is evidence of being unloved. And instead, receive the possibility that you are indeed loved. Softening is not a destination, it's a direction. And I'll be right here beside you, practicing it too. So this week has reminded me yet again that marriage grows in the direction where we place our attention. When I stopped scanning for what was missing and started letting myself see what was already abundant, something in my marriage blossomed. My husband didn't suddenly transform into a totally different man. I simply stopped blocking the love that he'd been offering all along. And the more that I received from him, the more his efforts multiplied. So gratitude didn't make me smaller or bring me into this mode of settling, which was something I was initially afraid of, or that I'd be like brainwashing myself to see everything through rose-tinted glasses. But it wasn't that. Instead, gratitude made our love so much bigger. Because when a woman softens into receiving, love rushes in to meet her. And when we treat our marriage like a garden instead of a problem to solve, it grows stronger, sweeter, and more alive. And so I'm learning, even still, that I'm worthy of being well loved, and that letting myself receive that love is one of the most intimate gifts that I can give back to the giver, which is, in this case, my wonderful husband. So here's to softening together one small moment at a time. I hope that if you are doing this along with me, that you'll send me an email and let me know how it's going for you. Let me know your thoughts and your reflections. I always love to know and to read that. I am a curious gal, so I always love connecting with other wives who are also on this journey with me. And if you are new here, I invite you to download my free guide. It's called 5 Steps to Reignite Connection in Your Marriage. It's a wonderful place to start and gives you actionable steps to sparking that connection again. So thank you so much for tuning in today, and we'll talk again next week for week 6 of the Softening series. Bye-bye.